It is Thursday the 12th of February. We are in the pub, around the table, and this is the Cat's Whiskers podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening. We are back around the table for our first podcast post-Continental Cup. We've got a few games to catch up with, so we will crack on promptly. We have Ant.
Hey up.
We have Adam.
Hello.
And we've brought in a sub because one Mr. Paul Baum is nursing some germs out of his body, so get well soon, mate. We've brought along Jono.
Evening.
Right then, chaps, we've got a fair few bits and bobs to talk about. A lot's happened since we were Continental Cup champions. Has everybody recovered from that now?
I think just about.
Don't think the team have.
Thanks to a course of antibiotics.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are sounding a lot better than you did them podcasts I listened to afterwards. Blimey.
I didn't think my voice was going to be the same for the rest of the season, but thankfully it's just about okay now.
Well, super throat sweets, mate. That's I brought in the big guns.
Yeah.
Brought in the big guns. Right. So let's tackle. I don't even know where to start really. I mean, let's start from the beginning and work our way to recent days. So first game post Continental Cup was a regulation win against the Flames. Unfortunately, we followed that up by going down to the Spectrum and losing down there. So Marcinho is injured for a wee while. We saw him on the ice when they were doing the medals and the trophy presentation for the Continental Cup with a boot on. So there's obviously something that he's nursing there. So fingers crossed that's not for too much longer. So yes, against the Flames at home, we had Hildeman as a healthy scratch. That was a 4-1 win. Goals from Stridsberg, which... What was he doing so close to the net? But, thank God he was. Johnny Curran, Matt Alfaro and Johnny Curran again. Away to the Flames, it was a goal fest. So we still had 4 goals, scored four goals and lost. David Noel doing David Noel things on the power play. Ross Armour and a couple from Captain Alfaro. So we lost Pearson on the away trip as well. He was a precautionary, so he was sat. Naman Hildeman was back in the lineup. So obviously a bit of juggling going on there, which obviously did not help. One thing I did notice for the Flames the home game against the Flames, we're absolutely staunchly continuing with the goalie rotation because Grande started. And so we've obviously got a plan there, which is good because both goalies are, you can't say that either one of them is having, a slump or anything like that. They are both fighting for it.
You don't want to lose a netminder at this stage of the season. Hey, Belfast.
No. Well, yeah, that's one thing we did sort of talk about before we hit the record button.
They have literally clipped that and going to play that in the locker room over the weekend. So well done, Adam. You've just cost us the league title. One flipping comment.
I've got broad shoulders.
Well, let's just hope the team have. So that home and home against the Flames, it was positive to start with, and it was looking good for a while with the away game, and then it's just kind of brought us back to earth. Unfortunately, I think that away defeat. Then we piled on with a loss to the Clan, with Brendan Harris scoring the only goal. Pearson was still out, as was Marcinho. Hildeman was put as a forward, which I thought was an interesting move.
He's going on an adventure.
Yeah, he's the Davis Buns of this team. Yeah, most definitely. And that game against the Clan was the first game that Clan had played following the sacking of Corey Nielsen, which, if I think we're being honest, we probably saw it coming. If he hadn't been sacked by now, I think that was going to be one of my questions. How long can Corey Nielsen last?
Glasgow, for me, they need to figure out whether they're a hockey club or an entertainment franchise. because they're quite happy to like charge the fans for fist bumps and all sorts, but are they actually serious about putting together a winning hockey team? I don't see it, and I think there's a lot of disillusionment north of the wall, certainly over there at the moment, and I know it's a new ownership model, from this season and what have you, but I mean, you have to compare that to the situation in Cardiff with the hoo-ha over season ticket prices next season. I know we're going off on a massive tangent.
It's fine. Look, right.
I'm still doing his own roundup.
Yeah. Look, right. We just go with it these days, right? The agenda is always in inverted commas.
Yeah, and I know, like, so comparing it to the situation in Cardiff, like Todd Kelman knew full well they would kind of come under a lot of scrutiny after the release of those prices. It's an S word that I was going to use, but and he obviously came out and they did the interview in advance, trying to explain the reasoning why and the logistics why they're putting in up so much. But that's done because they want to be a winning hockey team. They see themselves as a top 4 team, and they need the infrastructure behind them. I don't see that from Clan. I just see them like releasing gimmicks and stuff like that. It's sad because it's potentially a huge club, and a club that should be taking points off Belfast and stuff like that.
It just feels like they've drifted. They've drifted for seasons and seasons now, and whatever sort of changes they make, whether it's like the ownership model like Ant just mentioned, or whether it's coaches and players, just nothing seems to work. So they've got all the infrastructure in place to be a success, and their crowds, I know, this year have pretty much held up. Mm-hmm. You're probably in a better position to talk about that, given that you keep spreadsheets with that sort of data on. But
yes,
I mean, every time I look at the crowds, it's always sort of like north of 3,000.
Yes.
So even though they're struggling in the league, they have got quite a lot of loyal fans, and I think the patience of those loyal fans has been absolutely tested to the limits, judging by looking at Twitter and other social media channels. So it's all there for Glasgow. It just still needs to come together. Someone needs to find that magic formula, and off they'll go.
Well, go on.
Sorry, it's little decisions like they've made, like the £2 50/50 tickets and stuff like that. Like charging kids to stand in a little area so they can fist bump the players when they come out, which pretty much every other rink, if you're in that particular area, you get it's almost like, and we'll probably come on to the Cardiff situation again, because by no means am I saying that's okay. Just because Kelman's come out and done a prepared interview and stuff, by no means am I saying is it okay what they're doing. It's getting dangerous where clubs are now seemingly going, all right, we need money. You know what, let's just do this and we'll charge the fans for it and get the money in that way. And we all know the situation that the country's in financially and stuff like that. It can't. There's got to be a stop point. I mean, I go on rants about bloody ticket prices for wrestling events and stuff like that. Just for Paul and his daughter to go to the wrestling event at the arena, for instance.
Yeah, not Paul Baum. Just like to, this will be the our other mate Paul, who does a lot of walking and listens to our podcasts completely out of context.
I mean, the ticket prices for him to go last year compared to this year, I think they'd gone up something ridiculous, like 400%. And it just seems there's got to be surely a breaking point, and it's getting dangerous with the hockey. I can see it happening in the hockey time at the moment. At Nottingham, we're struggling to get seats and stuff nowadays because it's selling out all the time. There's obviously a massive demand there, but as soon as you keep putting the prices up, there's going to be a breaking point.
Well, I mean, one thing I did say that I sort of shared when we were discussing it in our WhatsApp group is that Cardiff's gold prices, and I appreciate there's special circumstances around my seat, which Omar Pasha knows well how I feel about that. But yeah, the Cardiff gold seats are more expensive than what I paid for my platinum seat last year. Now, If my platinum seat then goes up by as much as that gold seat is in Cardiff, I'll be kicking off again, because that would still be a massive increase as to what I paid last season.
Cardiff missed a golden opportunity to build a bigger facility in Cardiff Bay. because it wasn't like it was a new organisation. By that point, they'd already been going, 25, 30 years. And they've got a loyal and dedicated fan base down there in I was going to say in South Wales, but I'm not sure how far outside Cardiff their fan base extends. Just Wales. It's a big place. But it's annoying because you look at that facility, we've all been there several times, and there's so much space and land around that arena that they could have.
It was the previous ownership, wasn't it, that when the arena was getting built? Wasn't it Paul Reagan days? I'm looking at Jono, see if it was. I think it was.
Yes, I think it was, because believe it or not, I think they've been in there 10 years now. 2016 they moved in there, so it's probably, it was certainly before I think it was before these owners. Steve King took over.
I think that's what probably attracted the owners to it, and as well having a brand new facility, it was another selling point. Or
they were still in the big blue tent, but the arena was being built. So
I think the plans were in progress, most certainly.
Because I know, again, Kelman touched on it, didn't he? He talked about how they've looked. Could we take seating out and have a standing area to increase capacity that way? Could we add some seats here? Could we have standing around the concourse and stuff like that? So, I mean, they're clearly trying to do everything, but I think they've just been lumped in an unfortunate position where the only way around it is to knock the building down and start again. And who's got that sort of money?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm no structural engineer, but, I'm sure that you could possibly lift the roof on one side.
You can do the area planning for them.
Could, although the Welsh planning system is a little different to the English planning system. But it just smacks of a lack of ambition, really, when that building was being built. To say that the city had a hockey pedigree and a hockey heritage is like, blimey, should have built a 4,500 seat arena there, and just trust the fact that the city was committed so much to hockey that they'd fill it. It might not have been immediately, it might have been a slow burn over 3 or 4 seasons, but they would have got there eventually. I mean, look at everybody's crowds in the league. It's so healthy at the minute, and that's what, going back to what Ant just said there about there being a breaking point or a tolerance level for where fans will actually just say enough's enough, we don't want to be cash cows anymore. There must be, several sets of fans around the Elite League who are thinking that actively. It's like one more big price hike in our season ticket, and as much as we like hockey, we'll find something else to do on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday night. Just because, just the economics of it. People have not got a lot of money, in their pockets at the minute, and have to be, very, thoughtful about where they allocate that money to.
If the owners just want prawn sandwich brigade in there, then so be it. Just come out and say so. You don't want fans in there that cannot actually afford to go. Then just say so and be done with it. I feel I'm channeling a lot of rage towards my football club for doing exactly the same thing, but
it's almost like you've rehearsed this.
It's almost like I've been here before. And I do my feelings on Cardiff. The fan base in general, but I do feel for him massively in this stake. But look what happened a few years ago with the playoff finals, when they had that massive price hike for the playoff finals, and that arena was barely half full. The fans spoke, and the league were forced to listen. And I know the prices didn't drop as much as they're probably up back where they were again now, but it showed that people could stand together and go, you know what, you're taking the PI double crooked letter, we're not having it anymore. So massive tangent just on the back of Corey getting sacked.
We were up in Glasgow, and then we were down in Wales. It was
this is like an episode of Only Connect.
Now that'd be interesting. I'm not sure the four of us have quite got the collaborative brain cells for that, but let's
Can we get Victoria Cora Mitchell as a guest?
Love her and her husband David. They'd be great, although David's not the biggest sports fan in the world, is he? But,
I just want him to rant. That's
the best ones
get Lee Mack to come in as well.
Bob Mortimer. He just drives you insane. But anyway.
Oh God, to talk about tangents. I've got control of the microphone. Why do I let you guys do this? Anyway,
we
yes,
lost to Glasgow.
Yeah, we lost to Glasgow. So let's drag ourselves back up from Cardiff, and because
away from Glasgow, because that could go on and on and on and on.
Well, we're not going too far. So from Glasgow.
Fans, basically. That's the message. Stop fleecing your fans.
Okay, fine. So we're coming across from Glasgow. Well, not really going across to Dundee, but we're going to talk about Dundee. So Dundee, in the pit a little bit, fighting it out with Fife for the wooden spoon, and maybe the chance to try and catch Glasgow up and get an 8th place, and maybe find a way to playoffs. It is a long way. Jono's sat here shaking his head, but it is a long way. But we did him a favour by losing to him at home. Dundee. Their netminder was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he was brilliant.
The first time he's done that to us this season as well.
Not at all. No, not at all. I noticed as well, I mean, I'm not a technical hockey type person, but the Dundee Stars, whenever we were anywhere around net, there was like 3 of them helping the goalie out. They collapsed. Yep. They absolutely collapsed. They worked so hard for it.
They were desperate.
Yeah.
It was desperate defending at times, and me and Dan said it on comms quite a few times, the way they were just collapsing around the crease and not allowing any shots to really get at net. It was a very, very good defensive performance from them, to be fair.
But it's weird how the results before that loss for us, for Dundee, and the results after have been awful.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened in that one game against us where they were so desperate?
They went on a run. They got 5 points out because they'd taken Cardiff to overtime the night before they played us. Then they beat
yes, in Dundee,
and then I think they beat Manchester in midweek. So they got 5 points out of 6, and then they got destroyed by Sheffield on Sunday. What was it, 9-0?
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty.
But it just seems that their troughs are so low. When they're bad, they are awful, and it's a shame really, because look, somebody has to be down at the bottom of the league. You can't have 10 teams in the top 6 places of a league. There's got to be somebody down there. But at the start of the season, there seemed to be a lot of positivity around Dundee that they'd have a good season, but it's just not happening.
No,
it was the cup, wasn't it? Because they topped the cup group for the longest time, and then just lost like the last 5-6 games, and then they didn't even make the semi or the playoff game against us. So
beat Belfast 3 times, I think, in the group stages, didn't they?
Yeah, just absolutely mad. They had such a great start, and then just have completely fallen off a cliff as soon as the league season started. We know the troubles that Fife have had.
Yeah, well, just to pick up on something that Adam said, you can't have 10 teams in the top 6 of a league. But I think the sad thing is the gap that there is.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, obviously, this comes back to my constant perennial bugbear, where the league is just so uneven. Yeah. If somebody's going to be in 10th, I want it to be because there's only 9-10 points between top and bottom. Yeah. I want it to be competitive. I want everybody to be competitive. I'm talking at extremes. But
yes.
You know what I'm trying to get at.
I know what you mean. Look, the arena teams are always going to be there or thereabouts at the top, aren't they? They've got most resources, you've got the biggest fan bases, although Glasgow are a bit of an outlier there.
They're an anomaly, I think.
An anomaly, yeah. But it sort of makes it more miraculous to see what teams like Manchester are doing, with their limited rink in Altrincham, and they've done really, really well. They've dropped off a little bit in the last few games, haven't they? But, they've been really, really strong and had a great first half of the season.
I think 2 words for why Manchester are doing well: Cam Critchlow. I think he's what a job he's done, come in as coach. And that is a team very much built in their coach's image. They work hard, they give everything. I'm not surprised they are where they are.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have a Cam Critchlow that excels like first-year coach and transition from playing last season, and I don't want to sort of upset any of our Manchester friends, so Aidan, if you're listening to this, cover your ears, but coaches like that are not going to stay, I think, in those positions for long. Look at Matt Ginn. And he went, didn't he? Yeah, he did a good job, and he got scouted, and he's arguably gone on to bigger and better things. So I think that's a risk that the smaller teams in the Elite League have, is, if you get a coach, however they come to you, whether it's sort of like hanging the skates up and going behind the bench, or coming in from somewhere else as a coach and doing really well, the likelihood is you're not going to be around at that team, for long to turn that team into a real contender season in, season out.
I'm going to disagree. Because while I agree with the sentiments, I think with regards to Cam Critchlow, he's been there for many years. He was the captain of that team. He got his Great Britain qualification, played for GB well with that team. I think it's a bit more ingrained with him because I think he's very much part of that club.
So you're saying he's not taking over from Aaron Fox at Sheffield at the end of the season? Is that an exclusive?
Are you an insider?
I'd be surprised. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I'd be surprised. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, you said Manchester are doing so well, and then I think not the last podcast because we're obviously Continental Cup focused, but the one before that we were wondering what the hell was going on in Coventry. And now I could flip that on the sign. What the hell is going on in Coventry?
Well, I'm going to say we're going to get to that a bit further down the line, but yeah, just to sort of put just to continue the timeline, shall we say? I personally felt after that loss to Dundee, I personally felt that the league was a little bit beyond us. I know there's still a lot of games, and I know, but the thing is, Belfast are doing so well. It's just hard to see how we're going to recoup those points. We left ourselves in a very good position before we went to the Continental Cup, and now it just feels like that gap has widened more. And I think it's just the looking at how far back we are now. It just feels a bit too much for me.
I totally agree, and I was in the same headspace after that Dundee loss, and I remember us all talking about it after the game in the pub, and Jono was being probably the pragmatist actually, because I think we were letting our hearts rule our head a little bit, and Jono came in and said, there's still so many games to play.
Well, to be fair, in one of our WhatsApp groups, I think Jono was all shouty capitals about there being so many games left in the league. So,
but what I would say is my fear about the running is Belfast have been there, done that, got the T-shirt. They are accustomed to being at the top of the table, fighting out for the league titles year in, year out. We're not. We've had a very fallow few seasons in terms of challenging at the top of the table.
We've won the last 2 trophies available. The last 2 trophies that have been available.
But not the league. It's been a while.
But we've got that winning. We know what it takes to win trophies again.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Can somebody just Anne? Can you just take Jono outside for a little walk? Because I think he's going to get mad.
I was going to say
no, because I'm with Jono. You know what I think. Don't get me wrong. Coming up to this weekend, I do think, especially based on what happened last week, and when he thought that maybe Coventry were going to take something off Belfast, and then they didn't. I think if we don't get 2 regulation wins, it's going to look very, very hard.
We've had a question about this. So where is it? Yeah, Reece Williams on Twitter, on the artist formerly known as Twitter. How important is 4 points from the Giants doubleheader? Will 2 suffice?
No.
No, I think is the resounding answer around the table. Go on, sorry, Anne, carry on.
Wait, no, you've answered it.
Okay, well, that's fine.
The only way that 2 points will suffice from this weekend is if we win one of the games and the other games is abandoned because of bad ice.
Which, I mean, look, you've done enough already, as in curse of the podcaster, or the equivalent commentator's curse or whatever.
Reverse the curse, so I'm okay now.
Wow.
I mean, it's obviously going to be huge. I mean, Belfast, yes, they had the defeat in Coventry in the first leg of the cup. Last night? Yeah. Look, they've obviously we've had the week off, which is hopefully a positive. We are now getting players back to full fitness, which sadly is seeing the departure of Johnny Curran because of import limits and what have you. This weekend is if you're going to play Belfast 2 games in a row at any point in the season, probably now's not the worst time to do it. We've had a week off. They've had a defeat in Coventry. They were taken to the limit in Coventry, although they must be buoyed by the comeback that they did have. But like Jono said, when it comes to winning trophies, we've won the last 2 that have been available to elite league teams. Yes, we've had a bit of we were 0.50, I think somebody said earlier, since the Conti Cup finished, which isn't good enough. We know it's not good enough, and Danny knows it's not good enough. But then everybody was doom and gloom about that trip down to Cardiff, except me and Mr. Bullard here. I think we were the only ones to go for a Panthers win, and yes, big sugar-eating grins on our faces after that game. So it's we know that the performances are there in this team. And I think take away the cup final, the Conti Cup final and the Plough final last year, these are the two biggest games we've had for a significant amount of time.
Well, before I sort of go across to Adam, sorry, just one thing I want to pick up from what you said. Yes, it's sad that we no longer have Johnny Curran, but that I find that good news because we know Fossier is back, and if we were going to put Matt Marcineau on injured reserve, then we would probably have extended Curran. Yeah. So that means that Marcineau, it must be, he must be on his way.
Dictates that he should be back to you.
Yes.
Yeah. I suppose to counter-argue Jono and Am, so it's 2 against 1 here.
Bring it on.
It's 2 against 1, so I might be looking to Tina for some assistance.
I was going to say, me and you are going to be tag teaming this, aren't we?
But I mean, I absolutely agree about having that big game mentality for the cups. But the challenge for us is to string a series of big games together from now, starting this weekend with Belfast, 2 ginormous games. Look, if we get 4 points from those 2 games and Belfast get nothing, great. I might start sort of believing again that we have got it within us to win the league.
We're only 2 points behind them.
Yeah, I know.
And we've still got to play them twice.
Exactly, but twice over there in another double header. So, look, I'm really roller coaster this season because there's been times where I've been so convinced we'd win the league, we'd win the title, and then there were times like after the Dundee game where I was so down, even though it's sort of like a defeat in isolation. So, but you're right, Tina. I think Foss coming back is a big plus for the club as a whole.
Yeah, and also, I don't think he looked like he'd missed a step. He did not look like he was missing any match fitness, which you can guarantee that he's kept himself fit. But there's always that period. There's fit and then there's match fit. Yeah, you have to. You often see that it takes a game or 2 for a player to get back up to speed.
The legs going again, but he seamlessly just fitted back in.
That pass he made to Brendan Harris for the goal against Coventry was sublime. So when I'm doing my shortlist for assists of the season, that I'm pretty sure that'll be in there.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that we managed. I say amazing we managed to win the Continental Cup without him. I think that's been disrespectful to the rest of the roster because there's more than enough talent and skill on that roster to have done that, and it was a brilliant achievement. But you have Foss out of anyone's roster in this league for any length of time, and it is going to weaken them offensively. Mm-hmm. And whilst Johnny Curran did a brilliant job, and he came in at the right time, he came in when we really needed somebody, and made a really positive impact. And no one can say anything ill about him at all. He did a job for us, but Foss is a massive upgrade. Well, I hope that he's ready and rearing to go down the stretch for these last few games to the running, because if Foss catches fire, others will catch fire with him, around him, and hopefully that might be the real spark we need to sort of reignite the season. That's I know we're still at 500 hockey. It's wavering. And we need to see, I think, maybe a 6 or 7 game run of victories that really does sort of convince the waverers like me that we can win this league still.
I mean, I think out of all the teams we've probably got, I would say we've probably got the hardest running. Yeah. We've got Sheffield to play twice, we've got Belfast to play 4 times. I think we've still got Cardiff to play, I believe, and stuff like that. It's not going to be easy at all.
But that's the same for any team. Yeah. If you are top of the pile after 54 games, you deserved it.
Unless you've massively overspent at the cost of everybody else in the league, Jono?
No comment.
Just to sort of underline the point about Mitch Fossier, we went up to Glasgow and last Friday, I think it was. I've slept since then, and he scored the winning penalty shot. So
you knew as soon as he was taking it, he was scoring as well. I was sat there watching it, going, "Yeah, he's going to score this, no problem," and he did.
Yeah, see, I haven't watched anything, but all I've seen is a clip of Nolan Volkan's goal, which is beautiful. Amazing. It's never a bad play to put the puck on net.
Yeah. Put the puck on net and good things will happen.
Yeah, ding 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 ding, cliches. Yeah. Right, most recent game then, we had a shootout loss to the Coventry Blaze, who are on something of a run, it has to be said, and they've put themselves in a decent position for the second half of their Challenge Cup semi-final. it was a bit of a shame. It was a very tight game.
It was a belting game.
Yeah, and
absolute belter of a game.
Yeah, and Robson was doing Robson things, and I've seen today that he has qualified for GB. So, should there be any issues with one Mr. Ben Bounds, then we have somewhere else that we can look.
And whistles out as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen some comments from people on socials about, they only want British-born players and all this nonsense. I was like, no, if you're eligible to be picked to play for a country, then and you're good enough to play for said country, then you pick the best available team. And when I say, like, is his mum Welsh as well? So
this isn't like the Republic of Ireland in the 90s where
He's got an Irish setter, therefore he can play for Ireland.
I saw him drinking a pint of Guinness in an Irish pub once. We'll pick him as well.
The family ties and connections and ancestry is a little bit stronger than the Ireland under Jack Charlton. But I don't know, why would you not want him around the GB squad? He's a class netminder. You know, he was great last season. Some of the games against us this year, he stood on his head. The one last weekend, he was phenomenal. He made some absolutely jaw-dropping saves, and he kept Coventry in that game. It's just a shame that, because I don't think we played particularly badly in that game. We created so many good chances that on any other night, that puck gets behind the netminder, but he was just inspired. So it was a bit of one to swallow for us, but. It's nice to know that our net mining options for the World Champs in May are hopefully going to be bolstered by bringing Mr. Robson in.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. Okay, that's brought us up to date with games and such. So we've had a few questions sent in, one of which we've already answered. Bit of an interesting one. That we did sort of have a bit of consternation about before I hit the record button. So we've had a question from K Funnel on Facebook, wondering why Luca never gets to ice. Been a few games where we've had a good lead and I've wanted him to have some ice time. Won't get better if they don't let him play. Now we've all got views on this. Now the thing is, the only time I have seen, and I wasn't there because my summer bleeds into pre-season with the Panthers, so I often don't get to go to pre-season. So he's iced in pre-season. It wasn't a full game, and other than that, he's never been on the ice, and we have not yet had a lead where I feel like we'd be comfortable enough to put Luca Sheldon in a competitive situation. I know it's chicken and the egg, and if you don't try him, you're never going to know. But the thing is, you've got to be comfortable with making that decision, and it's very different playing for Panthers versus playing for the Lions, which
I don't think he even does that, does he?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure I've seen that. It might have been last season, but I think I saw that some of the Panthers players were watching a Lions game that he was the starting netminder. The problem is we've now got ourselves. Well, the league has got itself into a situation where the expectation is 2 import netminders, and you have a British backup, so that you can then ice your full complement of import import outskaters, right? So that's the first problem. You're always going to play your starter. Now all of us around this table, and some of us were there when Mika Weekman had to be stretchered off at Sheffield Arena in the playoff quarter-final, and Dan Green was the backup that night because we wanted our full complement of outskaters. Dan Green had seen less than a period of competitive action that season because we had 2 import netminders. Because I believe it was Passel that year, and if you're trying to keep your 2 import netminders healthy and good down the stretch, you cannot expect to put your British backup netminder in who hasn't seen competitive action. We are in a position, and we talked about this. We've got a good long stretch now where we need to pick up points so we can put some pressure on the 2 teams above us, Cardiff and certainly Belfast, and we cannot do that at this moment in time. We can't hold the hand of a backup netminder who's not seen any competitive action in the 2 seasons he's been icing. In fact, no, it's more than that, isn't it? Because well, prior to that, it was between him and Matty Bloor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, and and it just so happens, I've seen Matty Bloor going as backup for us one night because we had a good lead and because we wanted to rest our starting netminder. I forget who it was, but I have never yet seen Lucas Sheldon in a competitive Elite League game, and it's too dangerous to start it at this end of the season.
I agree. But what I will say is the Elite League is not a developmental league. It's a professional hockey league. Anyone that's in there, needs to be able to perform at the highest possible calibre. And, with the greatest respect to Luca, he's great for the roster.
He's great for the team.
Great for the team, and in some ways, what he brings to the morale in the team, you could say gives us a bit of a competitive edge because it sort of knits the roster together. But you're right, at this stage of a season, we can't be taking chances by saying, well, Luca's been great for us, he's really loyal, let's give him 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there. And one of the things actually that I was thinking about when you were reading that question out is Panthers this year haven't blown many teams away offensively. We haven't sort of had that 6 or 7-0 lead that you can think, right, let's switch netminders after 50 minutes or even earlier at the second interval. So if we had done that a few more times, like Sheffield won 9-0 the other Sunday against Dundee, that would have been an ample opportunity, to say put Luca in for the third period. But, we're just not in that situation. So, look, there's a league title to go and win. So we need, everybody performing at the top. We've got 2 great netminders in Kevin Carr and Jason Grande. I'm sure Danny's plan is to sort of alternate them all the way to the end. Maybe if we get towards the end of the season and one goes on a real tear and a real hot streak, then there'll be the netminder that gets the most ice time. But I suppose, to go back to what I said at the start, we're not a developmental league. We have to sort of, it should be you're in there on merit rather than sort of, feeling a sort of sense of this guy deserves a few minutes here and there.
For me, he needs to be, we've got a National League team that plays out at the same venue. And don't get me wrong, and I know they've got to look after their own end of things, and sometimes the games do clash and what have you, but why is he not even getting called up to play for the Lions? If he has to go in halfway through a game now because, God forbid, Carr or Grande get hurt during the game, he's coming in cold. Other than the warm-up that he's had, before the start of the game, where basically he gets pucks fired at him, and that's pretty much it. He's going in cold. He's no game experience and stuff. I'm with Adam on the whole thing at the moment, and like you say, we've not had those 8, 9, 10-0 drubbings of the likes of Edinburgh and stuff like that, where you could put him in for a third period. But it's a difficult situation because, like you said, he's clearly good for the squad. He's clearly well liked. You saw you didn't, Tina, but we saw the reaction that he got when he did come on in that pre-season game. The first save that he made, the whole crowd, he clearly got the crowd behind him as well. To be fair, the crowd will always back the Brits anyway as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one for him, and I think Luca himself probably needs to take a hard look and go, look, am I here to be a social media star, or am I here to play hockey? And if I'm here to play hockey, then do I need to look at moving to a team where I can get regular ice time and develop that way if he wants to develop?
Well, this kind of just speaks to a whole other discussion about the lack of development. There's no we've had many discussions about this. There's no joined up thinking in British ice hockey, just generally. So until that becomes a thing, then situations like Lucas Sheldon's are going to continue, and it's just going to be almost a ceremonial position where it's like we need a British backup netminder so that we can field our full complement of imports. So I think. Yeah, I think that's the whole discussion in a nutshell, really, isn't it? Lack of development.
It's great entertainment. You can't say it is great entertainment. It does irk me somewhat that he gets the what's the award? The most entertaining player award or something like that. But but he's not played. So how is he? but that's technicalities, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I think Ant's going down the whole sports personality of the year line of argument, aren't you? About is that the right name for that award, or should it be sports performer of the year?
Well, yeah. Right. Okay. Another quick I think this is going to be a quick one, actually. Kathy Wilkins on Facebook. If you had to make one roster change to improve our league chances, what would it look like and why? Personally, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think that we have the team that is capable of doing it. Once we've got everybody back to full fitness, once we've got the lines all settled again, I don't think, because we had a discussion about when Vulcan got dropped last weekend, and I thought, well, that's a bit, and I said that's a bit harsh, and everybody said, well, who do you drop? And I thought, yeah, who else do you drop? And that's the point, isn't it? If we could sit here and say that there is, maybe we want a different defenceman. Well, all right, which defenceman are you sacking? We want more goal scoring. Yeah, okay. Who are you getting rid of? It's just where does that come from? So unless anybody else has got a different view on that or wants to add to that, then I think we can probably move on from that one.
I don't know if like a Sidney Crosby or Conor McDavid.
No, I'm sorry. Is that they're both at the Olympics?
Can't we intercept them on the way back from Milan?
Yeah, if they become available, then of course you can assign somebody. And I'd be disappointed in Omar and Danny and the management team if they weren't constantly on the lookout for potential upgrades to the roster. We are at that level where there are going to be better players available than the ones that we're seeing on the ice. Whether we can get them to come and play in the Elite League is a different thing. But you're right. I mean, it'd be harsh on any of these. Like we say, we were all gutted to see Curran go. Yeah. It's because of the daft rules around import limits within the league, which certain other teams seem to be able to circumnavigate come what may. I'm still waiting for the 20-odd signings to rock up north, in north over the Irish Sea.
They'll be there on Saturday morning.
Yeah, don't get me started. Every blooming season. And it seems to think that as long as you put in like a sub story here or a certain excuses there, then you can just do what you like. But yeah, it was. I mean, also, don't get me wrong, with Curran, he's a Team GB player that's classed as an import. Yeah, that's stupid rules. But yeah, it'd be tough. It'd be tough because at any given time, you could probably look at that, watch a game and go, actually, such and such weren't at the best today. And then the following game, they'd bang in like a double or something like that. And then somebody else, or you were waxing lyrical about a week ago, we were going, well, what's he done for, the last week?
What have the Romans ever done for us?
Yeah. I mean, what Ant said is absolutely spot on, and what you said as well, Tina, was spot on. It's like you hope that the club are looking at every conceivable player out there that is available. But we know the market is dry. We know it's bare.
And the transfer deadline is approaching.
And the transfer deadline is rapidly approaching. So you've got to be really conscious of that, because at this point of the season, the chemistry in that locker room must be really, really tight. So if you take somebody out there, we were just talking about how Luca's so good in the locker room and probably is like really good for team morale. If say player X comes out of it and is replaced by player Y, is that going to have a detrimental effect because other players are impacted by maybe their mate, their good friend not being in that locker room anymore. So it's a really careful balancing act that the coach has to sort of weigh in his mind as to risk and reward. The risk of a better player coming in that would like really elevate the team's play. But it's a hard one. Who'd be a head coach? Who'd be Danny Stewart right now?
Well, I mean, Danny Stewart would be Danny Stewart, and so we'll leave his job up to him. Okay. Kind of been dancing around this a little bit, but it's time to address the sensitive subject. We've had a few questions on this, so related to the pride situation in Fife, and I'm not gonna lie, chaps. I've been thinking about this a lot. So this whole situation with David Booth and Pride up in Fife and everything, I've thought long and hard about this but pretty much because of just one little thing that his wife said. I mean, I don't follow her on Instagram or anything. There were just bits and bobs that other people were sharing on social media. So basically, what she'd said was, and I'm going to be paraphrasing, something along the lines of, my husband just wanted to practice his beliefs quietly or whatever. Anyway, and I thought, I'm going to try and put myself in his shoes. So I did. So I just want to, put a scenario just play out a scenario here. So just imagine, I've moved to America. I've got myself a job somewhere in the deep south, one of those states where abortion's now illegal, right? A
lot of good swimmers out there.
Yeah, quite,
You know what I mean?
quite. But so I don't mind putting it out there. I am thoroughly pro-choice, right? So I've found myself. And I've gone to this company. It's a little company who, they need a bit of a dig out. They need some help. They need somebody with my skill set. And I've been there a few months. I've got my feet under the table, and they're obviously they're really pleased with what I've been doing. I've been making a difference. I don't know. Maybe I've got Employee of the Month, 2 or 3 months running or something like that. But it's obvious that I am the quality that this company needed just to dig them out of a little bit of a hole, right? So we all know, all of us around this table know, when you go for a job interview, that one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, what do you know about us? Tell us what you know about us. And you have to have done your due diligence. You have to have researched the company. You have to know a little bit about what that company is about before you even apply to go there, right? And if you don't, then, in my position, we're talking a recruitment consultant. In David Booth's position, we're talking an agent, So you do a bit of diligence on the organisation, and in the case of a hockey player, the league that they're playing in, right? And what they're about, and what the values are, and whether those values align with yours. So imagine, I'm in America. I've worked for this company for a few months, and my boss comes to me and says, Tina, just to let you know, every year, we have a week of activities. We do promotions and fundraising and marketing and all sorts. And everybody's got a T-shirt that we're going to wear, and it's all based around pro-life. That, as I've already stated, directly contradicts with my belief. It conflicts with my beliefs, right? So, I then. From what I believe, I have a sliding scale of choices that I can make here. So my first thought is, I'm going to go to my boss and I'm going to say, look, I'm really sorry about this, but this whole activity conflicts with my beliefs, and I don't feel comfortable participating. I don't mind carrying on working, and if you want to do everything, all of this stuff around me, but I'm going to have to politely decline to wear the T-shirt, because that's not something I'm comfortable with, okay? So either my boss says, all right, we'll see if we can make that work, right? In the case of a hockey team, I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if there was a way that Fife could have, doctored a jersey for Booth to take the rainbows off, and he could have just worn a Fife jersey. That's the one thing. That's the first comparable, right? If he says yes, or he, she, whatever. If my boss says yes, then I'm going to be in the minority, because this is something that the company does. This is their values. This is something that's important to them. I'm going to be in the minority, and I'm probably going to take some heat for it. But I have to be prepared for that, because that's the decision I've made based on my beliefs, right? If my boss then says, actually, no, it's mandatory, you do have to wear the T-shirt, my next move, personally, is to ask for a leave of absence. And I'm going to say, actually, I would like to take that week off while you do this. I'm not comfortable around this. If that's a yes, then that's fine. But also, I'm fully expecting that I'm going to be missing a week's wages. And that's a hit I have to be prepared to take, because these are my beliefs, and my beliefs are important to me, right? If my boss then says, no, your request for annual leave or personal absence or whatever is denied, then I'm seriously questioning whether or not I want to work for this company. And that's the sliding scale of decision making. But so either what's happened is that the Fife Flyers did not want to make those accommodations, or those suggestions were not acceptable to them, or David Booth has held the club to ransom, and basically said, I'm the best player here. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I mean, obviously the compromise was that they wore the jerseys in warm-up and then they wore the normal jerseys to play the game, and Booth didn't participate in the warm-up. And the organisation has taken a lot of heat for that. And I have to say, like with the scenario that I've just described, there's absolutely no way on this earth I'm going to expect a company that I've just walked into 2 or 3 months ago to bow to me, because they've been doing this for longer than I've been around. So that's my personal belief on that whole situation. I obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of the conversations that happened between David Booth and the Fife Flyers. So there's obviously some nuances that I'm not going to be aware of, and that's fine. I can only speculate on what I know. So the other thing is that there's been questions about whether he was wrong, why are hockey players expected to participate in Pride, and that is a core belief of the elite ice hockey league, that hockey is for everyone. And the one thing I will say about Pride activities is that if they weren't needed, we wouldn't have them. And that's it. That's kind of my feelings on that.
I mean, you've got me quite emotional there, Tina. That's very well thought out and very well said. There are things that could... Surely the easiest way out of it would have been, he's picked up a knock in training, he's going to be missing this weekend. Done. And I think if they'd done that, none of this...
Well, like I say, personal reasons. Yeah. You can take a leave of absence for personal reasons. We've had players do that.
I mean, regardless of my own views on it, it's disappointing, obviously, because like you quite rightly say, he's coming into a league, and his wife coming into a league that has this weekend every year. So either Fife haven't made this known to him before he arrived, and not had that discussion with him, which could have happened. We don't know. I mean, it's under new ownership. I think they've had more statements than points so far this season, Fife. I have nicked that off people on social media, so I'm not taking the credit for it. But if he's not aware of it, you can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. The disappointing thing for me is, like you say, there's an easy way out. Give him the weekend off, and yes, you're going to play. That does mean you're probably playing short, and then he doesn't get involved in those activities, whatever. But to go about it the way he's did, and like you said, from the way it looks, is like he's held the club to ransom, and they've then had to, so the compromise is this: we'll only wear the warm-up jersey, we're not going to wear the Pride jerseys, and then you've seen the knock-on effect that's had. Ice hockey in the UK, as we say on a repeated basis, is a minority sport, and it is very community-driven. A large part of that community are from the LGBTQ plus community as well, because it is known that it is a welcoming environment for people of all races, of all sexes, of all beliefs. To have somebody come in and basically go again, I'm not going to support your community, because that's what it's all about. It's about supporting your local community. To come in and basically, I'm only here to take a wage, and that's what it looks like to me. He's come in and basically, I don't care. You pay me the big bucks. I'm your superstar. I understand. I mean, this could be hearsay or something, but he was one of the main reasons why the NHL no longer has like rainbow laces or anything like that now, and he was one of the main forces behind that. And it's just so disappointing. I get there are staunch religious beliefs. You just have to see some of the comments on pretty much every post now on social media. It's just a very horrible place to be at the moment. On all things, to see that such, beliefs that are going to extremes and stuff like that, and from different areas of the world and stuff like this. But like you say, if you would do your due diligence, surely going into a club. And I felt Five Flyers have tried to come to a compromise. Yes, they've made the wrong decision. my opinion, they've made the wrong decision. And I think that's probably an opinion shared by everybody around the table except Jono, because we're not involving Jono in this conversation because we don't want to get Jono into trouble.
He's gone home.
Well,
we sent him to the bar and he never came back.
With my debit card.
Jono's collapsed at the bar.
Jono's back, everybody. But no, we are serious. We're trying to. We don't want Jono to get into any grief from this, because we appreciate that the Panthers let him come on and join us and stuff like that. Yes, it's the podcast that he created, but he obviously has responsibilities now.
And it's ours now.
Yeah, it's tough, mate.
My name's still above the door.
Yeah, but we've wallpapered over it, mate.
I don't think I can say it, and it's an important. And I know one of the questions is, why are players expected to wear to support Pride? But you don't have to support it. But if you're dead against it, then like we've said, you either don't sign in the league and go and play somewhere else that has your way of thinking, or like we've discussed, you say, okay, I can't, because of my beliefs, like you said, I can't support this thing, so I will have to have that week off. Yeah. And if you do the planning in advance, every club's allowed to carry spares and what have you now. Then that's a pre-planned absence. They can go. Like you say, you didn't even have to say it for personal reason, whatever. But he's taken a knock in training. Yeah. Done, and then none of this would have happened, and Fife would still have because he's a very, very good player.
Yeah. Who's now injured and has had to go home.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that I like you say, hockey is for everyone.
Well, this is the thing, right? Just to reiterate, right?
It's not just hockey's for everyone. Life is for everyone.
Well, life is for everyone. Yeah. Pride, Black History Month, International Women's Day. You can guarantee that the same kinds of people are going to whinge about those things. But when we don't need them, we won't bother celebrating it.
Look at the stuff that my football club's getting dragged into now because one of our stupid idiot owners has come out and said what he's going to say, and just the responses to what he's going to say. It's just like we're in a very. I just feel that social as a whole, we're in a very dangerous position at the moment. There just seems to be so many opposing views to everything, as opposed to just
live and let live.
Yeah, exactly. Let people do what they want to do, as long as it's within the law. Just let them get on with it. And what's it harming anybody? And supporting an area of the community that does need the support, because for years and years and years, I won't go into. I could bring some of our some of my friends on who are part of the community and would talk, give us an actual proper lesson on this, but. For years and years and years, they've been the subject of jokes and stuff like that, or not welcomed into certain areas and stuff like that. These are why we have these events. It's to open people's eyes and get people talking. Yeah. And so it is important. It's very disappointing, and I hope Fife, because we do, like we've said on many occasions, we've got friends up there. It's one of my favourite trips, not just to the rink, but to the elbow room as well, obviously. And so I hope they're able to fix it. But at the moment, I can't. I'm kind of glad that they're bottom of the league because of the way they handled it. And that's very sad.
I think the Fife Flyers organisation have got a lot to learn, and they've obviously had a very hard learning curve with how this season has gone for them. So they need to take all of that on board, and they need to stop with the statements, stop with the apologies, and actually learn from what's happened. Okie dokie. I think we'll draw a line under that. So I just want to finish with a couple of bits and bobs. Richard Davies wants to know, Ant, what's your favourite episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I saw this one in advance. Am I the only one that watches it?
Around this table? Yes.
Oh my! Right. First of all, right. Get yourself. You've all got the Netflix accounts.
No, I do not have the Netflix.
Tina, we can sort you out a Netflix account. get on and watch, because it is one of the greatest TV shows of the modern era. People, from our growing up, it's like Friends was huge, wasn't it? Growing up, it was, everybody was talking about Friends and Pivot and all that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine takes it to another level. It is absolutely brilliant. It's as heartwarming as it is funny.
That's delightful. What's your favourite episode?
The favourite episode, and Richard will probably know this one as well, it's the episode where they arrest the dentist because the dentist has killed somebody in his lab, but he's got such tight alibis or anything like that. It's just the clever way that Jake Peralta gets him at the end, that you get Captain Holt, R.I.P. I'm getting emotional about Captain Holt now, because he's just, he just gets him at the end, and he just turns around and he's like, oh damn, because he didn't see how the way that it all turned on its head. It's absolutely brilliant. From the last episode as well is a proper tearjerker, because it is so good. So yeah, please, if you don't watch, and I'm talking to the three of you and everybody listening as well, just make yourself some time, just set down. It's a perfect show as well to just stick on while you're working or something like that. You don't have to sit there and actually pay attention to the whole thing. You can just watch it as background noise as well. It's just as good for that. It's a brilliant show. Please give it a chance. It's amazing.
I'll think about queuing it up after I finish Castle.
Is it better than Ted Lasso?
It's on, I would probably say yes. Only because...
For me, Ted Lasso is right up.
Guys, I'd just like to point out, at this moment, this is a hockey podcast, not a TV podcast.
Yeah, we'll have to, as the Cat's Whiskers talks about TV shows.
A branch off, yeah.
I think we'll see how season 4 goes with Ted Lasso. But because Ted Lasso was only 3 seasons, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's like 7, 8, 9 seasons, and it's just as good throughout the whole. Even you could tell the production change when they move like TV channels in the States.
I'm going to stop you talking.
Yeah. It's a great show. It's a great show.
It doesn't go Simpsons then as the seasons go.
Honestly, you could start watching The Simpsons now and you'd be dead before you finished it.
My daughter has watched them all. She went through every season.
Jesus, that's some commitment.
Cat's Whiskers recommends, aren't we? Maybe that's an off-season thing.
Yeah, maybe that's an off-season thing when we run out of all the other ideas, or it's a dry month for news. Right, last thing I just want to say on the podcast, congratulations to Ben Davies hitting 1,000 games, Elite League games on the 6th of February.
And also Robert Dowd, 400 goals, first player to score 400 goals. I know he plays for them, but that's a hell of an achievement.
In all competitions, because there's some people wondering why he's only got 300 and something on the Elite League website, but it's 400 goals in all competitions.
The first one to do it, and I suspect will probably be the only one to do it as well.
Yes, well, as we've talked about many times, we've been lucky enough to sort of watch a dynasty of British ice hockey players, and it's going to be interesting to see where if and where that next one comes from.
And the other thing, he was at his best when he played for Belfast as well. So,
oh, burn. Oh, burn.
I've got to get a dig at Sheffield in there somewhere, haven't I?
It would not be a podcast with Jono Bullard if there was not a dig at Sheffield at some point. Right, gentlemen, this has been a bit of a doozy. Thank you very much to everybody who's sent the questions in. We hope we've kind of got into them and given them the time that they deserve. We will be back in a few weeks. We've got Belfast to look forward to this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. So until next time, it's Jono.
Bye.
Adam.
We can still win the league.
Oh my gosh. And
he's turned. Go on. 4-point weekend. Come on. Take care, everybody. And look after yourselves and each other.
This message was brought to you by Antoine Marie-Jean. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time, TTFN.